Alrighty, well, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Nix Thomas, and I am an Adobe community expert and the founder of Phoenix Spring Creations. I'm so glad that you could join us today, and whether you are just starting on your creative journey or looking to sharpen your digital illustration skills, this session is designed to help you bring your ideas to life one sketch at a time. In this webinar, we'll explore how to take your artwork from a rough sketch to a polished professional piece using Adobe Fresco. And you'll be learning some practical tips, powerful tools, and about how the platform workflows that can make your creative process faster, smoother, and more fun. So grab your stylus, fire up your imagination, and let's go from sketch to spectacular together. So here's what we can expect in today's session. We're going to have a little bit of a welcome and introduction, and I'll say a quick hello and introduction to who I am and my work. And then we're going to go ahead and ask, what exactly is Adobe Fresco? If you guys are familiar with it, say it in the chat. If you aren't, this is the best way to get involved and learn more about what Fresco is. We'll have a nice overview of Fresco and why it's a great tool for illustrators and designers of all levels. And then I'll give you 4 of my favorite tips and tricks of how to speed up your creative process and stay organized in Adobe Fresco. And this will mainly be focused for Windows users, but I'm pretty sure that these will work with Mac and iOS as well. And then lastly, we'll have a Q&A session, and this will be your chance to ask anything that you'd like, from tools, techniques, or even just general advice. And then stick around to the end. I'll be sharing a downloadable hotkey cheat sheet with a short resource list to help keep your creativity flowing. So, like I said earlier, my name is Nix Thomas, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I'm the founder of Phoenix Spring Creations, where we bring thought to reality, and we focus on designs that are born from imagination and are built for impact. I'm also an Adobe community expert, and I've been volunteering with Adobe since 2024. I primarily help teach Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, and most importantly, Adobe Fresco. It's my favorite Creative Cloud app, and it always will be. However, my creative journey started way before all of that. I've always been a hobby enthusiast, starting with Dungeons and Dragons illustration and progressing to design and storytelling. I'm a published short story author and general nerd. And those passions naturally pulled me into the world of graphic design, and I became hooked. I'm completely self-taught, and what started as a fun hobby quickly grew into my passion and my life's work. Now I get to live my dream by bringing ideas to life and helping others find their creative spark and building a community around the magic of design. I'm so excited to share a little bit of that magic with you today by teaching you some of the essentials of Adobe Fresco and my top tips of how to use it effectively in your workflows. So let's go ahead and discuss what Fresco is to start off. So let's have a little brief overview of what Fresco is. We've heard of it, but what exactly is Adobe Fresco? Adobe Fresco is a digital painting and drawing app designed for artists, illustrators, and designers. It combines the natural feel of traditional painting with the flexibility of digital tools, making it ideal for everything from quick sketches to professional illustrations. It's a great creative playground, and the goal is to make it your playground. Fresco, in my opinion, is an amazing tool to start out with, especially in the beginning when you are making a concept or sketching a logo or basically anything that you're looking to start designing. It's fantastic because it's simple to get used to, and you can port over to Photoshop when you're ready to get more advanced in your techniques. Another great point about why Fresco is great is that it can be used on both Mac, PC, and iOS. A lot of the primary functions are for the iPad, but I can't speak to that just yet because I just got my first iPad this past week. For my workflows, I primarily use a Wacom Cintiq 24 or a Wacom One tablet for my work. Speaking of, here are a few examples of what I've created over the years. I've created everything from logos to illustrations to education webinars. And over the years, I've done a lot with Fresco. It might seem like a basic drawing tool, but sticking to the basics is oftentimes the simplest and easiest method for improving your skills. I've done everything from illustrations, both in raster and vector, to logo designs, and even done graphics for education webinars. I prepared a special time lapse of what my work process is like and how Fresco can be super useful for you to use. So, this might sound like the basics for drawing or design, but sometimes the basics do get overlooked. And as a designer, this is my workflow that I follow while using Fresco and designing. Your workflow might look different, and that's okay. First, always try to keep it simple, and I make sure that I go through everything that needs to be done in a pretty organized fashion. I always go ahead and start with brainstorming and gather references and coming up with the idea for a character, a scene, or a logo. And on the right here is showing an illustration I'm in progress with at the moment of a Tarot inspired character. I may mainly grab references for anatomy, style, color, and lighting. And in the video, you might see them pop up on the screen here while I grab more colors and ideas. I always use mood boards and Pinterest boards to help set the tone. And it's really good to know what you're drawing and what vibe you want to convey when you put those boards together. Then I do my rough sketch with thumbnailing, and then I will go ahead and make small, quick thumbnails to explore the composition and layout. And then I always try to keep it messy. This might seem like counterintuitive, but messy is okay. And it makes the ideas flow. And I always try to choose my favorite and then expand it into a more refined rough sketch. I usually use the pencil tool for this process and that step, especially because it makes it really easy to just like be quick about it. Then I'll create a new layer and then draw over my rough sketch and make tighter lines and then clean up the proportions, add details, and then define the forms more clearly. Then lastly, we'll do the line art. And this is like when I do like the main piece. I'll do the line art in vector brushes because it helps keep it crisp, clean, and sharp. And it also makes sure that any of my graphics I can scale later on. Then I'll do my base colors. I'll add my flat base colors on separate layers beneath my sketch or my line work. And then sometimes I will go ahead and use the fill and bucket tool for faster coloring just to make it easy. I always try to make sure that each major element, the skin, the clothes, the background, are all on its own layer. And then lastly, we'll do the shading and lighting, and we'll add shadows, highlights, and color variation. And then I think about my directions of light. Then I'll make sure that I use the multiply, overlay, and screen layers to enhance the depth. We'll do the details and the texture, and then finally the background and effects, and then we'll review it and export it. I do sometimes like to create these time lapses with Fresco. There's an option when you export that you can go ahead and create a time lapse. And Fresco does this when you select the export time lapse option, and you can go ahead and make these really cool, neat videos of like what it looked like to do your drawing. With all that in mind, let's jump off here and go ahead and progress to top tip number 1. This is so important. Start with the basics. There's nothing else that we need to do. We need to start with the basics. So what that means is we need to understand the program we're working with. When you're working with a program, you have to make sure that you know it like the back of your hand. If you guys are designers, I'm assuming you guys are going to make sure that you like know Photoshop, you know InDesign, you know Illustrator. The same goes for Fresco. When you're starting out in digital illustration, and even if you're an experienced designer, simplicity is your superpower. Don't feel pressured to master everything out all at once, too. The best way to learn is to jump in, experiment, and play around. Fresco makes it really easy to get started with just a few key tools. And at the heart of the app are 3 powerful brush types and a reliable layer system. We have raster brushes, we have live brushes, vector brushes, and our layers. And here's a note for new and experienced designers. Don't overcomplicate things. Start by mastering these basics. Choose one brush type and get comfortable with it. Use just a few layers at first so your file stays manageable. And focus on creating consistently, not perfectly. The most important thing is to keep creating. Every sketch, every mistake, and every new brush you try helps build your skills. You'll grow faster by doing something than by overthinking. With that in mind, let me explain what the brushes are that you'll be using. It's pretty simple, but understanding each one really makes a big difference in getting to know the program better. All right, so we have raster brushes. These are great for your textured sketches, shading, and detailed painting. However, they are not scalable unless you make sure your DPI is high enough and your pixel count is high enough. Secondly, we have live brushes, and these brushes simulate real watercolors and oils that flow and blend like the real thing. Then thirdly, we have vector brushes, and these create clean, crisp lines that scale beautifully with no loss of quality. And like I showed in the video, you can click a little star to favorite a brush you like. My favorite is the Manga G pen under the vectors brushes for my illustration work. That's the one I use the most. Next, we have layers. And layers in Adobe Fresco are like transparent sheets stacked on top of each other. They help you organize your artwork and give you the flexibility to experiment without messing up your whole piece. Additionally, it's kind of like the layer system in Photoshop. You can move them around, you can add them, you can subtract them, you can add effects. It really doesn't. It is unlimited what you can do with it. And think about it like this: you can sketch on one layer, add color on another, and then maybe put your shadows or highlights on a separate one. And if you ever want to erase or adjust something, you can just do it without affecting everything else. And here are some key things to know. You can name and group your layers to stay organized, and this is super helpful on bigger projects. And each layer can have its own blend mode, like multiply for shadows or overlay for lighting effects. And you can mix raster, vector, and live brush layers, but each type has its own behavior. So, for example, the vector layers stay crisp and scalable, while live brush layers behave like real paint. And lastly, layers are your best friend when it comes to making changes without fear. They really give you creative freedom and a nice safety net, too. All right, next, we have top tip number 2. Creating canvas templates. Canvas templates are really important, especially if you are doing a lot of work that is going to be the same size or the same of everything. You can make this easy on yourself. So creating a template in Adobe Fresco may seem like a small step, but it can save you tons of time and help you maintain consistency across your creative projects. When you're working regularly, whether it's for personal art, branding, or client work, a template gives you a pre-built starting point so you don't have to set everything up from scratch every time. If you're familiar with InDesign, you know how templates are a godsend when it comes to brick design. Thankfully, Fresco has quite a few built-in templates, but it's always great to have what you need for your projects. And the benefits of using a template really come down to consistent canvas size that you don't have to remember the dimensions each time, and then consistency for illustration. It makes it so much easier to just draw on the size you need and send it to print. You can also ensure that you're drawing everything to print quality standards at 300 DPI if you set your template up properly. A great template keeps you focused on creating instead of fiddling with the settings. It's a small habit that adds to a smoother, faster, and more professional workflow. It only takes less than a minute to create a custom size for yourself, as you'll see now. So here's how exactly I added a new canvas size template, complete with me looking at the dimensions for an A5 piece of paper. And here I'm just adding this in as A5 is standard for my commission printing and is often requested by my clients. And creating a new template for documents is just as easy as pressing a couple of buttons and will significantly help keep things tidy and consistent across your works. It really is that simple. It takes less than a minute. You click it in, you can rename it, you can name it whatever you'd like. I named mine the NYX A5 template, as you can see, and then boom, It's done, it's created, it takes just a couple seconds to load, and now you have a template that you can use anytime that you need to. Now here's top tip number 3, the draw inside the lines and snap to tool. These are fantastic. I love these tools. So the newest things with Fresco is that with all of these things, Fresco keeps getting better. And these 2 new features will seriously level up your workflows without adding complexity. And let's take a look. We have the draw inside the lines feature. And this is a game changer for keeping your artwork clean and contained. And with just one tap, you can draw only inside the lines in the shapes or areas you've already created, whether you're using raster, live, or vector brushes. No need to stress about coloring outside the lines. It's perfect for shadows, highlights, textures, or just staying neat. A note about this one, make sure you do your entire drawing inside and outside the lines at once, else it will create extra boundaries and it'll make it a little bit harder. I have already talked to the Adobe Fresco team, and this is something that they are working on and is in the process of updating. Next, we have the snap to point feature, which allows you to give you smooth, clean lines. And this tool has your back. Snap to point helps your strokes either snap into straight lines or smooth into natural curves, depending on how you're drawing. It feels like a little boost to your line confidence. Whether you're inking, outlining, or designing with vectors, this keeps everything looking crisp and professional without any fuss. And the nice thing is that if you're on a Wacom, all you have to do is just hold when you're finished drawing your line or the vector, however you need it, the curve, you just hold. And then it will snap and it will be done. And it makes life a lot easier. You can even do that on a eraser brush as well, which can be really nice if you're trying to erase a part of your line art to make sure that it has like this nice graceful curve, and it makes it just super simple. Now, top tip number 4. This is a tricky one. And this is one that I had to take a long time to figure out, get help, and really try to understand how all this worked. I had to go through a lot of trial and error to figure this out. So this is exporting to a Photoshop file and then converting it into an SVG. SVGs are great because they are scalable, and if you are doing any kind of projects for clients that need embroidery files, SVG is the standard for what you need to make them into embroidery files. I had to figure this out because I got this embroidered. So, additionally, you want to make sure that you can look at your paths and look into things with Illustrator. So this is my number 1 top tip. And even though it's top tip number 4, this is my favorite tip to tell people about how to use Fresco. So here's how we're going to go ahead and convert your Fresco vector art to SVG. You can also do this when you have raster images or raster drawings in the back of your vectors. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to export from Fresco, and we're going to go to export, and then we're going to export it as a Photoshop file, which is PSD. Then you're going to go ahead and open the PSD in Adobe Illustrator. So when you export it, you put it in your folder, you right click, open in Illustrator. Make sure when you do that to go to the layers when you import it in Illustrator and show the hidden layers. Otherwise, this will not work. Then, when it's in Illustrator, you can clean up your work in Illustrator. You can adjust the vector paths. You can adjust lots and lots of things. And I'll demo this here in a minute of how this all works. And then you can go ahead and just export this directly from Illustrator into an SVG format, and then you can use it in any other format. And then additionally, from Illustrator, you can export it as a Photoshop file it back to that PSD, and then send the new version to Fresco. And then you can also keep it in Photoshop as well. So it's a little bit back and forth, and I know that we have been requesting an SVG export feature in Fresco, but we haven't gotten it yet. But this is the best workaround if you need an SVG and how to get this put together. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and demo what this looks like. Alrighty, let me open up my Creative Cloud, and I'm going to open up Fresco. I'm going to see if I can share my screen here, the entire screen, and I'll show you how this works. So here is my Adobe Fresco, and let's go ahead and take a look at. We will go ahead and use the Tales of the Wizard Snail. I have created a very silly little drawing just for this presentation today of a little wizard snail, of how we can go ahead and export this to Illustrator. So we'll go ahead and we'll go up here. I think I'm going a little too fast here. We'll go up here in the top right-hand corner, and there's this little box that says Share. So you'll click that and then go to Publish and Export. And then we're going to go to Export As, and then PSD. And then we're going to export it. And then we're going to go and put it in the folder that we want it, and we'll do that. Yes, we'll replace it. Okay. So then we'll go ahead and open our wizard snail file up in Illustrator. And this will come right up. And then Illustrator will, since we're done with Fresco, we'll go ahead and close Fresco. That way our computer continues to want to be nice to us. So when you get the Photoshop import options, you will go ahead and show preview, and then convert layers to objects, and then import those hidden layers, and then click OK. This should work. So you should have the ability. Oh, did it not work this time? Of course it didn't. Did I? I did something wrong. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, but usually it does. So let's go ahead. We'll close out Illustrator. We'll try this again. See, this is why we need the export to SVG in Fresco, because it will make our life easier. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll do this one. We're going to open up my other logo, which is primarily SVG at this point. I mean, vector. And we'll open it in Illustrator. We're going to try this again and see if this works. Convert the layers to object and import the hidden layers. All right, and here we go. On the right-hand side, we have all of our layers that came in from this particular piece. And this was all done in Fresco. This is originally done in Fresco. And let's see if we want to go ahead and make some changes to this. So I see all of my paths. I can click everything that I need to. Oh, what's this? We want to go ahead and, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and edit this path. Let's make this, we can move this around. Control Z. I'm gonna go ahead and thicken these wing tips. And then we're gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and thicken these too. Make it look a little bit more fun. Let's see. Made that thicker. So now we're going to go ahead and export it as a PSD. We're going to do that. And then we're going to make sure that we do it in RGB and then write the layers and then have our resolution high at 300 ppi with maximum editability. And then we're going to click OK. And then it'll write the Photoshop file and it'll take a minute to do that. And then as we're doing that, Photoshop will, Illustrator will make sure that everything can be put back into this file format. And then we can take that and put it right into Adobe Fresco and edit it from there. I see that there's some line art that I want to clean up, so I'll probably go back into Fresco and clean up the rasterization in the back, because this was done really quickly just to make sure that we had something for Christmas. But it's not Christmas time anymore, but it's a great way to use this in the meantime as an example. So as it's exporting, does anyone have any questions in the meantime?
I don't think so, but are you able to see chat while you're presenting?
I am able to see the chat
Okay.
now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because some people were making some comments, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, while we're saving, I'll jump in. Hi, Nick. Chris here. How are you
Hello.
doing? I dig the earrings. I still haven't gotten me a set of those. I could sport them, I suppose, but someday. Hey, I just wanted to mention, as you were up there hovering around, there's a button up under that export. It just says, and it's open a copy in Illustrator, and it would save you a handful of steps.
Oh, there is in
Fresco.
Fresco?
Yeah, just go to that little share button, and then where you said export, just go down, just publish, and just go down a couple of notches, and there's and it just opens directly in Illustrator. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, really?
hmm And then you can
Oh,
just export an SVG straight out of there.
okay. Let me load my documents up and then I will go take a look because I had not seen that. Um, and just so you know, the version of Fresco that I'm using is 5.55, which is the most recent one. And I know that there were some tools in the past that they have like discontinued. All right, so I'm going to open this up. And then you said it was under export?
Yeah, you'll see it. It's just a couple of doors down from where you were.
Okay, so publish and export.
See you, Carlo. See you later, man. Have a good one. You too. Yeah, that third open in Illustrator.
I
No,
do not.
sorry, go back. Sorry, a coworker was leaving. I said goodbye. Go back to that export and go down, hit that,
Mhm.
and then go down to open a copy.
Oh, that
There you
is
go.
new. I did not know this.
Yeah, it's pretty
Oh
cool.
my goodness.
And then my other suggestion is working between Photoshop and Fresco. I do that all the time, and I just save it as a cloud document, and then you just open it up directly in Photoshop. It's like instant. It's amazing. And so I bounce back and forth. So I'll make a background in Photoshop, open it in Fresco, do a couple animated layers, open it back up in Photoshop, so I just bounce back and forth. But if you save them as cloud documents, it saves a ton of time and steps.
Oh, awesome. That is something that I have to get better at doing personally, and I know this is using the cloud.
I know,
I
me too.
primarily used it everything on my one laptop, so it sometimes I won't put things on the cloud so that way I have the hard copies to use when I don't have internet.
100%. I love hard and Don, and I back up all my stuff, but there is a time and a place for these little cloud documents that work pretty well.
Well, dang, this was so much easier than having that entire process that I literally wrote forever, forever ago. Than now to just put it into Illustrator. Everybody learns something new every day. Thank you.
You are welcome. I learned something new today too. I was working with Kyle Hamrick. I'm a community expert also. I was working with Kyle. He's a After Effects expert, and we were jamming on Fresco. He showed me this tutorial, one of his tutorials, where he's like, to get animated video back into Fresco to like do to work on top of video on. And there's a trick to it, but it was like blowing my mind. So my mind has already been blown today. I've already learned something about Fresco myself, so it's all good.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Have you checked out the fact that Fresco now has like motion paths
Oh,
and has some
100%. Yeah,
animation?
check my in the chat. There's a link to one of my compositions. It's a like fully 100% hand drawn in Fresco and animated in Fresco. I love the animation in Fresco. It's pretty fun.
Oh, fantastic. That's something that I'm slowly getting into is more of the animation in Fresco.
Oh, yeah. It's
I
a
can't
lot.
speak too much for it yet. I'm not the best at it, but it's definitely something that's been like a game changer of making like simple things really easy to do.
100%. As I mentioned in the chat also, I make like little animated icon GIFs for my presentations, and I just jam in. It's just so fast to make quick little animations. If we got time at the end, I'll share my screen and I'll walk y'all through animating. But click that little link and you'll see how I made my what I did. And it's all just looping and randomized paths and just objects that are randomized and spinning and multiplied, and you just have a lot of fun. You can just draw a couple things and have like a whole composition with just a couple of little drawings. It's pretty cool.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Sorry to interject, but I was kind of the whole time I'm like, oh God, just click the open button. But there you go.
Well, thank you for teaching me that. I really do appreciate it because that's been something that's bugged me for years. And every day is like, okay, how's the new way to get this into the SVG?
Yeah, yep,
But
yep.
thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate that.
You are welcome.
Alrighty, so we are actually at our Q&A session now, and I thank you so much for coming and speaking with me tonight and learning Fresco with me because it is my favorite program. I love this program and I want to see it succeed. I want to see it more used, and I'm really glad that you guys sat and took the time out of your evenings to come draw with me and come learn with me. If you guys would like to collaborate, my information is up here. And if you guys are also interested in the Adobe Community Experts program, please let me or Casey know, and we can see about getting you involved. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn's there as well. Oh, and lastly, I will be at Creative Pro in Phoenix, Arizona, and I might be speaking about why Comic Sans is actually a good font and why we should defend it. So hopefully, if my submission for Ignite goes through, you'll see me on the main stage at Creative Pro.